Good morning.
Good morning.
I was a little chilly, so thanks for coming out. I'm John Almond, the Executive Director of the Westside Future Fund.
Yeah.
Yes. Right. And I should say, for those that don't know, the Westside Future Fund is a not-for-profit. Stood up a couple years ago. We have a great board of directors that includes Councilman Ivory Young and Councilman Michael Bond. We also have on our board Dr. Beverly Tatum, the foreman of Spelman. So thank you all for being here this morning. Before I introduce our great 60th Mayor of Atlanta, a few words about the Westside Future Fund. You know, we were stood up as a place-based initiative for English Avenue, Vine City, AUC, and Asheview Heights. We're a place-based initiative, but we're people-focused. And we're focused on the people in the community today, the 15,000 or so that are here today. In 1960, it was a true mixed-income community of about 50,000 people. And as we build out an ecosystem to help people build better lives, like with the Promise Center, led by the Belief Foundation, or the Hollis Innovation Academy that has a lot more resources, or the new park, or all the great things happen in the community to give people better jobs, or better lives, and I should say better jobs through Westside Works, is the big threat we face right now are people being pushed right out of their own community. So the great news is Atlanta's populating, but then that means the pressure on the real estate prices, and most of the residents in these historic neighborhoods are renters, and they're private renters, are landlords. And so that real estate's going up, and so, you know, under the leadership of the city, we're working hard to buy property to ensure that legacy residents, often the working poor, minimum wage, can stay in their community as it populates. The negative effects are typically referred to as gentrification. And so we'll talk more about that in a minute, but that's the nature of the challenge we're so pleased to be talking about today as we begin working hard about it with our new mayor, Ms. Bottoms. And I first got to know Ms. Bottoms when she was councilwoman from District 11. And she already had a strong heart for the people in this community because she introduced anti-displacement legislation on city council. And she was early on it, and then we announced the anti-displacement tax fund over in the same neighborhood here with Mayor Reed and Mr. Young and others. She was there too, even though it wasn't her district, but she was here to stand shoulder to shoulder on how important an issue was, so we appreciated her in that role. She caught my attention as a candidate for mayor, because not too far from here, and she'll probably talk about it, but on October 11, 2017, as a candidate for mayor, she announced $1 billion for anti-displacement and affordable housing, her affordable housing initiative. Half public, half private, and understanding the nature of the challenge. And I remember at the time, some folks out there kind of snickered, but now she's mayor. It's kind of changed the dialogue. But that kind of commitment really speaks to her passion. And for those that haven't had a chance to meet her, she's got a strong spirit, and really taking that kind of commitment as a candidate, it could have been the easy road just to kind of go low, but she didn't do that. She set a high bar, and we are pleased to be with her today to get to work on that commitment. She is the 60th mayor of Atlanta. I think very importantly, at least for me, and I know for her, she took her inaugural address at the MLK Chapel on the Morehouse campus. And Martin Luther King's last adult home was only 0.4 mile from here on Sunset, 242 Sunset. And so Dr. King, obviously Nobel laureate, great hero of Atlanta, and Mayor Bottoms, in her inaugural address, quoted from Dr. King that we are all tied together in a single garment of destiny. And I think he's a great North Star for all of us. We often say at the Westside Future Fund, our quote is, I can't be what I want to be until you are what you want to be. And so that reflects really that we are all joined together in the city to help one another, and we've got the 60th Mayor of Atlanta that's laser focused on this issue, and we're very pleased today, Mayor Bottoms, to be with you, and thank you for your leadership.
Well, it sure probably doesn't feel like Minneapolis today, but it's close out here. Good afternoon, everyone. I am so glad to be here and so glad to join John and Abel Mabel and my colleagues on City Council and all of you all today. I have talked a lot about my heart for the West Side, and it really is because the West Side is so much a part of who I am. I was sharing as we were driving over that I used to take dance classes over at John F. Kennedy Middle School. And those were many of the happiest days of my life. And I think it was such a fulfilling experience for me because there was a sense of community, a sense of unity, and really an investment in the children in this community that really enriched me in a way that I carry with me today. And I know that Michael agrees with that because as a high school student, some of the best times of my high school life were spent at Michael's house on Sunset. His sister and brother and I, and actually Michael and I, all attended high school together. But again, this theme of community and what it means to be in fellowship with one another. And so I am so very honored to stand here as the 60th mayor of Atlanta to talk about this community and what is yet to come. And thank you to the leadership of John and the Westside Future Fund, and really just the vision and the heart for this community, and this reminder of what this community was and what it will be again. And I think there's no better investment than when we are standing in the heart of the community and we talk about the redevelopment that will come to this community. And we talk about the 35 new apartments that will come, that will be available to people who may not be able to afford to live in Midtown, but certainly still deserve to have a quality of life and certainly deserve to live in a safe neighborhood and in a neighborhood where their children can be enriched and educated and that they can have an opportunity to afford to live in the city of Atlanta. I've talked a lot over the past, now almost 1 month in office, about what my goals are for the city of Atlanta, and I think it really aligns with what all of your goals are collectively. And that is to make sure that Atlanta continues to be a place that's affordable for all. And I don't think there's a better example than what we are here to celebrate today. So I am so honored to be a part of this. I'm so honored to be a winner, John, because now all of the things that we talked about during the campaign, we really have an opportunity to put the real work behind it. And with your leadership and with the leadership of the community and so many of our partners who have invested in the city of Atlanta, it will be a reality. This is but a start, but a portion, but I'm so excited about the collective conversation and the collective work that we will continue to do together. Thank you to all of you all. Thank you for still believing that Atlanta is a place for all. And thank you for your investment, your time, and your passion, not just for the West Side, but for all of Atlanta. Thank you.
Ivory Lee Young Jr., welcome to Atlanta City Council District 3. This is a great day. It's reminiscent of so many days that residents of this community feel. Residents like State Representative Abel Mabel Thomas, who spent her entire life and career in this community, lives but just a block or so away from here. It's residents, whereas this month, 26 years ago, I bought my home on Griffin Street. And we've not left, we've not abandoned, and much is the case for the existing residents of this historic community. The neighborhood that raised Hamilton E. Holmes, the community that raised Herman Cain, the neighborhood that raised Gladys Knight. A historic community of residents and community that we always find a way to make it happen. Even when there is no money, when there's no resources, community has done its part. And so, as I sit on the board of the Westside Future Fund, it gives me great honor and pleasure to work with you, John. John, you have really embodied, through our collaboration, and Brother Bond and Dr. Tatum, and the real spirit of what Dr. King envisioned when he speaks of the beloved community. Because it talked about folks of different races and talks about folks from different income levels coming together as community. That's the history of this neighborhood. So as we celebrate these 35 units of new affordable housing in historic English Avenue, if we go a few blocks from here, We'll see the ground that's already broken on new homes that will be built, not just for police officers, but for legacy residents, historic residents that come from this community. You know, as I sit here and I stand and I see Dr. Diamond Jack, a great leader, helping to lead a education revolution in what was the old Kennedy Middle School, now the Hollis Innovation Academy for pre-K through 8th grade. But John, it was contributions from this Westside Future Fund that are reducing classroom sizes in half at Hollis Innovation Academy so that we can actually reach and transform the minds of the young people. That is the real revolution. That is the real celebration that's happening here. Yes, affordable housing, but it is a holistic evolution and revolution that's happening right here on James P. Brawley, right here in historic English Avenue. So it absolutely, Mayor Bottoms, you as a mother, you as one of my former colleagues, you always got it. You always understood. And when we talked about anti-displacement and we had to evolve a policy, you were on front, on the city council and now as mayor, and helping us to protect existing residents from being taxed out of this community as we approved an anti-displacement tax fund. But John, taxes don't get raised on existing homeowners for what, over 20 years? Here in historic English Avenue. That's worth applause, folks. Come on. So don't believe the hype and the myth about what the Westside Future Fund represents. It's a transformation with the community. And as I see our friends from the Arthur M. Blank Family Foundation in the audience, I could sit here all day and talk about Invest Atlanta. So many of our partners are out there. You are rolling up your sleeves, helping us to make this happen. So the Atlanta Police Foundation, you know, I'm getting in trouble now because I didn't call your name, but I love each and every one of you. Michael, I appreciate the neighborhood representation that's here in the Vine City Civic Association and the English Avenue Neighborhood Association. But Michael Bond, I thank you for being a great role model for me. Long before I ever got on the council as an MPU leader, as a neighborhood leader, you've been on this council providing great leadership and helping us to evolve where we are today. So it gives me great pleasure to bring the next person up on the podium, my friend and colleague and partner in service, Michael Julian Bond.
Well, thank you very much, Ivory. That was very kind. It was a gracious introduction. I want to say good morning to our mayor, good morning to John, good morning to the board members of the Westside Future Fund, all of the community stakeholders, members of the community. It is really an honor and a privilege to be here before you today. Having grown up just adjacent to this community in Vine City and having played and bicycled and run through and footballed all the way through this neighborhood, it is really great to see the positive transformation of this community, one family at a time, one unit at a time, one house at a time. When I was a teenager and Governor Joe Frank Harris decided to put a football facility right there on Northside Drive where Williams Brothers Lumber used to be, there was great speculation in the community. People talked about how this community would be gentrified in 5 years and how the neighbors would be run out and the community would change. Well, you know, I'm sad to say that was over 25 years ago, and we're still here trying to make a positive change in the community. There have been a lot of people who have invested in properties for the purpose of speculation because they thought their 20 by 40 lot or shotgun house was going to yield them $1 million. And they sat on that property for years and years because as an elected representative, Ivory and Madam Mayor, people said, why hasn't the community changed? Well, you know, people who have held the units of change think that they're going to make $1 million transforming this neighborhood. And that's not what's going to change it. What's going to change it is the efforts of people like John and the Westside Future Fund. What's going to change it is the efforts of people in the English Avenue Civic Association. What's going to change it is the efforts of our mayor and colleagues on council trying to transform Atlanta one family, one house, one unit at a time. You know, this neighborhood has always had a tremendous sense of community. Even when I was a small child, I used to have to, my mother would make me walk to get a Coca-Cola and tomato soup from the Red Dot that used to be right up here on Old Simpson Road. For those who've been around the community, remember that. Or the old Flavor Palace where the gentleman could make delicious ice cream or great hamburgers. Polish sausage there in the community. Thank you for that, Mabel. And so this has always been a community, but it's been a community under duress. But if you like old Westers, the cavalry always comes. And the cavalry is being led by our great mayor, Madam Bottoms. Let's give her a round of applause. It's been led by our great state representative, Mabel Thomas, and Ivory Young, and all of the community people who are here today. And thank you for that memory, Madam Mayor, when she talked about having grown up here in the community and coming over to our house. You know, my sister used to have these great parties at our house, the kind of pre-Freaknik crowds that would gather up there on Sunset. So you made me smile, and I appreciate that. But Mayor Bottoms was also being modest. Her family generated out of this community. You know, there's a lot of good that has come out of here, and it's great to see it being returned purposefully, carefully, tactfully, and hand in hand with the community. We're going to take this road together. We're going to take this journey together. We're going to transform Atlanta together. No, Ivory, they may not be able to afford a house in a unit in Buckhead, but they can afford a unit in Atlanta. They may not be able to afford a unit in Druid Hills, but they will be able to afford a unit in Atlanta. They may not be able to afford a unit out there in the Swats, but they will have a place to live in Atlanta. And there's no better place, there's no better location, there's no better space than to live right here, right now, on the West Side. God bless you. Thank you. It's been my honor to be here with you. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Mabel Thomas, our state rep.
Thank you. First, giving honor to God, who's the leader of my life. It's an honor to be with family because that's who we are. I came to sort of bring a little context and give you a couple of things that you might not know about English Avenue. Well, English Avenue is, where we grew up, was known for having more fruit trees than any other neighborhood. Mr. Smith, he had on the corner of Proctor and James P. Brawley, he had all the apple trees and the pear trees. My house, which I still live in, the house I was still born and raised in, we had peach trees and fig trees. And so throughout this neighborhood, when we were out playing, you always could stop and get some fruit and just keep playing. So you didn't have to go back home because there were so many fruit trees there, all right? And there's an area in English Avenue on Oliver Street that the temperature is about 4 degrees cooler than any other place in the neighborhood, the way the ecosystem works in that particular area. Wow. Remember back when I know you kind of knew, because he was on that street as well. So all I'm trying to say to you is that English Avenue has always been a strong community. And it's been a community that sometimes they try to misrepresent by saying the Bluff. Well, there was an area in this particular community called the Bluff, but the whole neighborhood was never the Bluff. We are English Avenue. That's right. We are English Avenue. We are English Avenue. And to say, when I was talking to the Honorable Mayor during the campaign, and I was saying something about Southwest Atlanta, she said, oh, no. I came off of Elm Street. Come on and give a shout out to mayors from Elm Street. Come on now, I know she's in Southwest Atlanta now. So when
The South is new to the West.
That's right. You know, so when we sort of, what I've been doing is sort of let people understand that there's so many great people came out of English Avenue. And like I already mentioned Gladys Knight, but every time Gladys Knight comes to town for a concert, people say, yeah, y'all know Gladys Knight is from Atlanta. But forget about it. Let's tell the truth. Gladys Knight is from English Avenue. 7-time Grammy Award winner. Hamilton Holmes, the first medical doctor at Grady, integrated University of Georgia with Charlene Hunter Galt. Okay, Herman Cain ran for president of the United States, but even before he did that, and went to English Avenue School, he also was the owner of Godfather's Pizza, which is where he made his money. So all I'm saying, if you do run the role of English Avenue in Vine City, I don't think there's any other area in Atlanta that's produced more dynamic people in terms of contribution to the community than these two Westside communities. Let's hear it for the Westside. So thank y'all so much for being here today for these 35 units of affordable housing. But I would be neglect if I would not say I would like to throw another address out to you, which is 375 James P. Bar, which is the apartments where people are actually still living in that's substandard. So these are empty, but there is another one, just one right there, that people are living and had some issues around the owners and trying to go through around that. But also with the ground that you're on, ain't no way this was cement now. This was not cement, this was all dirt. And the basketball goal was around in the backside. We played basketball here. And so I learned how to play basketball here. And I keep a leather ball in my car, and just in case you don't believe me. So thank you, everybody. And for some reason, Spirit is telling me to acknowledge this gentleman here. Maynard Eden is a journalist. But in politics, you got to remember your beginnings. And the first story that was ever done on me in my political career was done by Maynard Eden. And he basically said, unknown but organized student takes over caucus, when I ran for a delegate to the Democratic Convention in 1984. So thank you. I want to say publicly thank you for your work over the years. All right, I love everybody. Power to the people. Ivory, you know you do the work. You do the work. And so I thank you, and I'm so honored to be a part of a team, because that's who we are. Together, everyone does achieve more. Thank you, and power to the people.
So thank you for those great remarks, and I'll wind up by saying exactly what we're doing, and thanks to the high bar set by Mayor Bottoms and quick to get to action, we're able to announce a total of over 50 units today. We're going to have 10 single family homes, not here, but on Griffin Street and English Avenue. We're doing that in partnership with the Atlanta Police Foundation, and that's going to target renters to homeowners for legacy residents. So those are under construction. 5 single family homes, and these were lots that we're leasing from Invest Atlanta for $1, which allows us then to keep it very cheap to do renters to homeowners. So 5 single family homes. Through a partnership with Invest Atlanta, we are leasing 6 multifamily units on English Avenue, and those will be then rehabilitated with philanthropy to keep them affordable. And then finally, the 35 units here that will be renovating for the highly affordable, which are folks that are making about 30% AMI, which is right around minimum wage. And so we're very happy to be able to announce that today and really commend the high bar set by our mayor to address this issue. I also want to just say thank you to all the residents and leadership of this community for working so collaboratively with the Westside Future Fund. And it's been a great journey, and we really feel the sense of urgency, Mayor, laid out by you, and we're ready to keep on rolling and ensure that the great residents of these historic communities can stay and enjoy the benefits of a winning Atlanta. So thank you, Mayor, for your leadership and everyone being here today. Oh, Reverend Beckham. We went right through. I'm sorry, Reverend Beckham. One more, the Neighborhood Association leader. I'm sorry, Reverend Beckham. This will be our last speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, John. I knew I should have gone before Mabel. And I was not, I would have been too angry if John had bypassed me. But I have served in this community for 23 years now. I am lifelong resident of the Westside. I was born up in the AU Center up there on Walnut Street. I moved to Dixie Hills when I was 3 years old and lived there until my wife came and got me, married me, and began to take care of me. I got called to the New Jerusalem Baptist Church over 23 years ago. I still serve as senior pastor. I have served the English Avenue Neighborhood Association twice. I served 5 years once, 3 years after that, and now I'm back again as president of the English Avenue Neighborhood Association. I also serve as CEO of Integrity CDC, which is the managing partner for Westside Works. And Westside Works is a great program that to date has trained over 600 residents of the Westside communities, has placed over 500 of them in full-time jobs at a livable wage of over $12 an hour, and has had over a $12 million economic impact upon the Westside based on the wages earned by our graduates. So we're very proud of those numbers and very proud of what we've done. But I'm very proud to be here today for several reasons. And the main reason why I'm proud to be here today is because being a resident here, I also live here in English Avenue, and I've been here now for about 10 years as a resident. And what I've learned is, as revitalization have come and all of these efforts have come, what has happened now is many of the questions that we're receiving now, those of us like Mabel and our council persons who live here, they're saying to us, and these legacy residents that we call them now, they're saying to us, what's going to happen to us? They said, we know that the stadium has been built. We know that new homes are coming. We know that there's a promise center. We know that new security cameras are here. But what's going to happen to us? And to date, they have not seen much that has said something good is going to happen to us, and there are things that are going to be put in place or that have been put in place that are going to guarantee that they're going to have a place here and that they're going to benefit from the prosperity that is happening and that will continue to happen here. But I'm glad today that we can say to them that there is a tangible representation that something good is happening that is going to make sure that they're going to have a place here, they're going to remain here, and they're going to be able to afford to stay here. And this is the mark of that. And I think we ought to give a great big hand to our mayor, to the Westside Future Fund, and to everybody who is a part of making this happen, has been a part of this, and is a part of this. So I'm proud as a resident. I'm proud as someone who's committed to serving this community. I'm proud of our mayor. Thank you so much for all that you've done to make this happen. Thank you, John, and to the Westside Future Fund. Thank you, Mabel. We've served in this community together forever, which we'll continue to do that. Thank you, Councilman Young. Thank you, Councilman Bond. And thank you to all of you for coming. As Mabel said, this is not the bluff. This is the English Avenue community. We're proud of our community. We've been here for a long time. We're not going anywhere, and we're going to stay until we make sure that English Avenue and every resident who wants to stay and who wants to be blessed is going to get that blessing and is going to stay. God bless you for being here. And I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge the presence of Mr. Frank Fernandez is here from the Blank Foundation. Don't look back. He's here with the dark shades on, secret agent, man. And I want to thank them because I don't care what anybody says, and I have to say it. The Blank Foundation has been the catalyst for all that we see happening on the West Side right now. There's a lot going on, but before anybody would come, when nobody else would come, they came. And they invited Integrity to come and be a part of the West Side Works program. They brought us in as the recruiting agent of that program, trained us, gave us all of the capacity building resources that we needed. And now Integrity CDC, which is a community-based organization run by a West Side resident, is now the managing partner for West Side Works. To God be the glory.
We'll take questions in a minute. Okay.
I didn't think that my feet could get cold in Georgia. It has happened.
Everybody right here?